when I do travel and I have 2 passports, I feel like I'm in a spy movie. And
nice.
I'm like, which passport am I going to throw out there? So it's fun.
That's cool. That's cool.
Welcome, beautiful people, to the Lost and Local podcast. We're Adam
and Hannah,
2 Korean citizens who grew up abroad and are now figuring out life.
Join us as we share stories and our honest perspective on what it means to be lost and local.
Awesome. So last podcast, it was evening time for me and morning for Hannah. And so we decided to change things up, and it's morning time for me and evening for Hannah. So how are you doing?
I'm good. I had a nice long weekend. So I'm not stressed. I've not done any work, and I've just chilled.
Nice. You had for our listeners, you had a 2-day holiday. Basically.
It was term break.
Oh.
Yeah. I think there's also a holiday, but I'm not sure if they're connected.
Oh,
we don't celebrate all Indian holidays.
Oh, you had a term break. But were you able to not have to do a lot of work stuff over the last couple of days? You were able to just relax?
I mean, I should be doing work, but I chose not to. Yeah. So, yeah. I was just like, work will always be there. But I don't always get to take a break. So I'm going to take a break. And on Sunday, because I have to do work for Monday anyway, I'll just do all the work on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's still weird for me to do a remote podcast. It's only been a couple of days since we started our first remote podcast when both of us have been remote. So
yeah,
hopefully we got the... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, you finish.
Oh, I was going to say, hopefully we got the kinks figured out, because the last podcast, our Leaving and Staying podcast, I kind of messed up technically, but hopefully this one will iron itself out.
The funny thing is, I think the average person doesn't even know Adam. I think it's just you, to be very honest. I mean, not to say you shouldn't be striving for excellence, but still, I don't think it's as noticeable as for the average person.
If our listeners only listen to us via audio podcasts, they probably won't be able to tell the difference at all.
Yeah.
But we do prefer you all to also watch on YouTube.
Shameless plug. But also, I found something new about Adam.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because in Korea, Adam was a very, very early bird. And in the States, now he's not an early bird at all. So I was like, I just thought that was Adam's natural sort of thing. But it was more of your routine in Korea. And now that you're not in Korea, you have a new routine.
Yeah. It's partially because of my wife's teaching schedule. She teaches late into the night now. So I try to wake up with her, go to sleep with her on her schedule. And so she taught until 1 a.m. last night.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I tried to, stay on her schedule. So that's why our sleep schedule is a little messed up now.
Oh my gosh, 1 a.m.?
Yeah.
Why? Was a student in Korea? Is that why?
No, she has, so she teaches West Coast students until they're 10 p.m. So that's why we stay up later. Yeah.
That's so painful.
Yeah, so my sleep schedule is really I try to match it with my wife. So when we're in the States, our sleep schedule is different than it is.
I see. Yeah, because in Korea, they're up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m.
Yeah, good observation though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So anyways, we've got a fun little topic today. But before we go into that, let's start out with our icebreaker. So Hannah, I'll start with you. What's the first visa stamp or immigration memory you remember as a kid?
So I have a really bad memory, and I can't really remember before the age of 6. I don't really know why. I promise I had a okay childhood. But yeah, there's nothing before 6. But we went to China for just like a visit. My parents were thinking about taking a job, and they were like, we need to see the town first. We need to see if it's like compatible with us, and if our if our kids' school is gonna be okay. All of that stuff. And so we went to Yanji when I was like 6 or 7 or somewhere around that age. And I just remember we would because I'm a minor, we would all go in as a family for the immigration booth instead of one at a time.
Yeah.
And the immigration guy looked up at my dad, he looked down, and he looks up at my mom, looks down, and then he looks at me and looks down, and he smiles. And I was just like, why is he smiling? And it's because all 3 of us are very similar in height. Like, we're very tiny. And we're all wearing round glasses. So it was so evident that we were a family. And I think the immigration guy was just like, oh, yeah, this is a family. There's no way they're like smuggling this kid or like anything. And then he just like laughed, and he just like stamped our passports. And then we went in. And so that was a positive memory. A positive memory of China.
Oh, that's cute. Aww. Yeah. Because I remember the first time I flew into China, I was kind of worried.
Yeah.
And kind of stressed out. But that's really cute that that your immigration experience as a child was not traumatic. Not immigration, but going through immigration to another country.
Yeah. What was traumatic, though, was our stay there, because it was just so different from suburban Pennsylvania. Like, all the taxi drivers had their shirts pulled up because it's so hot, and their stomachs were showing. They're all smoking in the car, outside the car, in buildings. And then the lights would go out constantly, so people just didn't even bank on having electricity. They all had candles ready. And so I just remember, I don't really remember our trip because it was so dark all the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a shocker, but my parents didn't tell me they were visiting because they were thinking about moving. They're just like, we're going to China. And I was like, yay, I'll see pandas. and then I was just like, oh, this is a very interesting country. And then 2 or 3 years later, I found myself permanently in Yanji.
Oh. Yeah, because I remember you went to Disney World.
Yeah.
That's what I told you.
Yep. I got tricked into saying yes to China because I wanted to go to Disney World.
Okay.
It's okay. It would have happened no matter what.
When you guys went to China, that was after your first experience, you guys just stayed there. You didn't go back to the States after that, right?
No, we came back to the States. It was just to visit, to see if they wanted to take the job or not. Yeah. What kind of city is China? Do they have schools? What kind of school would Hannah be going to? Yeah. So it was just for a couple days. Or was it a week? I don't know. It wasn't long. And then we came back, and then my dad had to defend his dissertation, which took a little bit of time.
So he has his doctorate.
Yes. He is a professor of business and I think economics.
Dang. Yeah. That's impressive.
Yep. Yeah, that was impressive.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, what about you?
That's a really cute memory, though.
Oh.
I would love to be a fly on the wall and watch your cute little family with their round glasses together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should see more pictures of Hannah when she was young. We only see that one picture of her.
No, that's a very, very ugly child.
No.
No, that's very ugly.
Yeah, so Hannah prepared this question, and I was looking at it, and I'm not sure because I never actually traveled as a kid.
Okay.
So because I did when I was adopted, I was a bit over 3 years old, and of course I did make a immigration from South Korea to the States, but I don't remember that at all. Although, like you said, some people do remember when they're 3 years old, but I don't remember. So my first experience traveling overseas was when I was in my early 20s. I flew over to South Korea to do the whole experience of an adoptee going back to Korea, spending a month in Korea through my adopted agency. And I did have my US passport, but sadly, I honestly don't remember actually going through the immigration line, but I do remember when we were flying into Gimpo. This is when Incheon was not built yet. And I remember I remember flying into Gimpo, and I just felt so surreal because I didn't really spend my whole life up until that point thinking that I would ever go back to the motherland, being an adoptee. And so I remember just a plane starting to land, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I cannot believe I'm in the place that I was born in. But unfortunately, Hannah, I apologize. I do have some immigration stories later, but as I guess I was technically a kid in your early 20s because your frontal lobe is not fully developed, but I don't remember it.
Oh, that's fine.
Very well.
Wait, but I'm curious. Back in the day, how did you get visas for Korea?
I don't even know.
Oh.
Sadly. I mean, it was through the adoption agency, so they probably helped do the work to get us the visa to stay for 30 days. I don't even know what the stipulation was for visitor visas, because I think right now it's 90 days currently to visit Korea. But who knows what the laws were back then.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to go to like an embassy and apply for it or do like a interview. You didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I lived in Indiana, and I guess the closest embassy would have been Chicago, and I don't remember flying. I mean, I don't remember driving up to Chicago to do that.
Oh yeah, that's far.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows how that actually worked? But that's a good question.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
When did you first realize your passport gave you an advantage compared to others?
You know, at least I'll share the most recent one because that's what's sticking in my mind. But I think our listeners know that I am a dual citizen of both South Korea and the States. And so I personally didn't realize how much more, what did you say, like, powerful the Korean passport is compared to the States. But when my wife and I decided to travel into China, and we were thinking about going to Vietnam at the time, we, with my Korean passport, I didn't need to get a visa to go into Shanghai.
Oh.
But unfortunately, my wife had to pay a decent fee to get a 5-year visa to go into China, and I didn't have to. And then we were thinking about going to Vietnam, and then with a Korean passport, you can just fly into Vietnam. You don't have to do any visa. But we ended up not flying to Vietnam, but my wife realized that she had to get a visa through Vietnam too. And that's when I realized, whoa, wow, the Korean passport's a bit more powerful. And then we did some research, and it's like one of the top, 5 passports in the world or something. Yeah. So I was feeling a little bit haughty towards my wife, like like, oh, you low peasant, you.
Oh gosh. Wait, but side note, what was the process like getting your Korean passport?
It was difficult, but fortunately for me, because I was an adoptee, they passed a law in 2012 in South Korea that allows Korean adoptees to reclaim their citizenship, since we didn't we didn't rescind it on our own volition. So we first came in 2018, and my wife and I tried to do the whole process on our own, and it was arduous. We could not figure out. We tried to do the paperwork, tried to get all the apostilles and all these different things done. And we couldn't figure it out. And so we ended up going back to the States for 5 months to help out with the family situation. And then when we came back to Korea after that little interim period, we realized, okay, we're going to need to get some help. So we just hired a specialist. She wasn't a lawyer, but she was like not a legal assistant, but not a CPA, but she was some type of position where she kind of helped people with that. So she was able to do all the necessary steps, and we didn't pay like a huge amount of money, but whatever we paid her was worth it, because 9 months later I got my citizenship. And I was really sad, as a side note, because of COVID during the time. You know how like they did it in Korea, and they do also do it in the States, where you go and you have like they like officially welcome you as a citizen. I didn't get to do that, so they just sent their certificate, and I was really bummed out. I wanted that whole experience of going to the courthouse or whatever you do in Korea and do that whole thing and make it official. But
I see. And did you always want a Korean passport, or like was it just more of like we're gonna live in Korea now, so it makes sense that you have a Korean passport? Like, what was the kind of catalyst for wanting to get it?
That's a good question, and I think this would apply really only to Korean adoptees that might watch this. But when I was working at the bank in Oregon, I had a fellow coworker, not part of my particular branch, but we were doing like a big meeting of different branches, and he was a Korean adoptee. Shout out to is his name. Maybe I'll beep that out, I don't know. But anyway, we were just chatting, and for some reason being Korean adoptees came up. And then out of nowhere, this was back in 2015, he's like, hey Adam, did you know that you can get your Korean citizenship? And I looked at him like, what are you talking about? He's like, and then he explained the whole situation. I was like, dude, no way. And then I went home that day, told my wife, and then we looked it up, and I could claim my citizenship. But the only caveat to that is that, I don't know, I'm not sure how it is now, but you would have to go to Korea and live for 9 months to claim your citizenship.
I see.
They might have changed it since then, but that was what you had to do. So we were like, oh, well, that's cute. Like, I mean, if I ever did go to Korea, maybe I could do that. But then circumstances transpired where my wife's grandparents were getting older, and we ended up it was not the catalyst for the reason to move to Korea, but we ended up going to Korea for her grandparents. And then that's when we remembered, oh yeah, hey, maybe I could get my citizenship.
Wow.
So that's how that happened. That's a good question, though.
I see.
Yeah. But how about you, Hannah? When did you first realize your passport gave you an advantage or put you at a disadvantage compared to others?
So this is a really interesting question, because after 13 years in the States, I feel like having a Korean passport is not an advantage, just because the immigration process to the U.S. was just so hard and just so impossible. It didn't transpire, right? Like, nothing came out of it. I did the whole thing. I like stood in line and did the whole right way, and yet I still didn't get a green card. So, and like that you have to save every single document that they give you. And sometimes these documents are just like pieces of printout, but they're called like your I-20. I-20 is like, oh, I'm a student, or like, it's just like declaring your status. And every time you leave the country, your school needs to print out a new updated version. And if you change your major, you have to get a new one. if you like do an extra year of college or you do something else, like you have to get a new one. It's just like a lot of paperwork, and like going to the US embassy is so stressful in Korea because there's so many people trying to go to the States. And if you don't, for like during the summer months, if you don't book at least 3-4 months in advance, you can't get an interview. So it, to me, like for the past 13 years, it felt like, oh, like why was I born a Korean citizen? Like, why didn't my parents apply for a green card? Like, there's just like a lot of frustration. But if I really think back to the first time I realized that passports held different types of privileges, that was actually in high school. So before all of my experience in the US, I went to an international school, and if you play sports or if you're in like orchestra or stuff like that, extracurriculars, you actually get to travel to other international schools in other countries to like either compete or like perform, just like cool opportunities to do things with people in your conference. I don't know what it's called. Like we were in this thing called APAC and kayak, and so we got to travel a lot. And I just remember when we had to go to China, all the kids with the US passports were paying 3 times more than we were for a visa, for a one-time entry visa. So I think they were paying like $300 and we were paying $100. And even though it was for the same duration, like same age, same situation, just because they were a US passport holder, they had to pay more. And then another thing was for guys, and maybe this is more for guys, because the whole army thing was an issue. If you were a single passport holder, okay, I think if you were dual, you could stay in Korea for as long as you wanted, just under the assumption that when you were 18, you had to give up one. But if you were only a US passport holder and you were at our school, they would have to leave every 3 months. Go out of the country and come back in. So those kids were always in sports. They were playing all 3 sports all the time, because that would just naturally give them a reason to leave the country, reset their whatever timer, and come back in, which is a lot of money, right? You're paying for your own plane tickets. So if you're going out every 3 months, that's a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, on a side note, I didn't know that you got to, when you were a part of sports in high school, that you got to go travel to different places. That's cool.
Yes.
Wow.
And I think there were 6 Chinese international schools in our conference. So I only got to go to China. So for me, it wasn't that cool. Like I wanted to go to the Philippines and Thailand and just like other countries. But for some reason, all my orchestra and all my soccer things were in Shanghai and Beijing. And so my parents, for one of the things, my parents actually came to Beijing to see me because it was only a 2-3 hour flight for them. Yeah. So, I know. This makes me sound really like posh, like extremely posh, that I like went to China for like soccer games. But in reality, I was a scholarship student. So I did get to reap the benefits of attending an international school, but I was not one of those rich kids.
Oh. In Beijing, and didn't the Summer Olympics in 2008 happen in Beijing?
Yeah.
So you were like 15 years old at the time.
I was in Korea.
Yeah, but did you get to travel to China when they were doing the Beijing Olympics?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think I went to Shanghai that year. They probably would not have let us go to Beijing anyway, because they were being so strict about keeping the city clean and like doing all these things. So we didn't go for the 2008 Olympics, but it was the same time zone, so I got to enjoy.
So, what did you like better? Did you like Beijing or Shanghai?
I personally like neither.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, they're
wait.
too big. Both of them are just
Oh,
too big and too populated. Shanghai is nicer,
oh.
just because there's not as much pollution. There's more space. The food is so much better than Beijing food.
Oh.
Sorry, anyone who's from Beijing. But yeah,
Oh.
but Shanghai's nice. But I personally, my favorite city is Boston. Like that's like the best size city for me. Tiny, tiny, but I like tiny
Really?
cities. Yeah.
Well, we say tiny because we live in Seoul, but for the people that live in the States, Boston is not considered a tiny city.
Well, but when you're from LA or New York, everyone's like, "How do you guys live here? It's so tiny." We're like, "What do you mean? We have everything."
Dude, I mean, Boston has all three major sports. They have the New England Patriots, they have the Boston Celtics, the Boston Bruins, they've got the
Yeah.
Boston Red Sox. They've got all four major, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about someone who's in a city right now where I grew up that had less than 10,000 people. So,
That's true. Everything is relative. Everything is relative.
oh, okay. Yeah, I went to Singapore now, not Singapore, Shanghai. I've been there 3 times now.
You
But
like Shanghai?
I liked Shanghai. I liked it. I
Yeah.
like big cities though. I like the hustle and
do.
bustle of tons of
You
people.
do.
So
So Adam,
yeah.
you'll like New Delhi when you visit. It's very hustly and bustly.
Yeah. That it'll definitely be fun if we are not if when we get over to India to visit you.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's a good show of your power of your Korean passport.
Yeah.
But I guess now there is some idea that, hey, Korean passport, because I don't think, at least if you were to ask me even a few years ago, what's a more powerful passport, I would have considered US being a really powerful passport.
Same.
But I think, I don't know, maybe just, I don't know if it's because of recent in the last couple of decades, but I don't know. I feel like America is not the shiny place to immigrate to anymore these
Yeah.
days.
The
So,
US has made a lot of enemies. And you see it because a lot of teachers here are American citizens. And when we talk about like our travel plans and everything, there are places where I'm like, why are you getting a visa to that country? You can just go. And they're like, no, we can't. We have to get a visa. And then I'll look it up and I'm like, oh, I can't believe for Koreans, you don't have to get a visa at all. You just fill on this like online thing and then you automatically get something. Whereas an American passport holder does have to like go through an agency and get a visa like three weeks before. And so that's when I'm like, oh yeah, I'm holding on to this like maybe misconception, or maybe it's an intentional thing that the US tries to make you feel like, oh yeah, we are a strong country. But when you leave it, you actually realize it's made a lot of enemies, and now you pay that price.
okay. On a lighter note, maybe I'm wrong in this assumption, but the Korean passport, I feel like maybe because of the influx of all the K-drama, K-beauty, K-pop, and all these different things have actually put us on the map where other countries are a lot more amenable about their relationship ties with us. And maybe that's opened up a more powerful passport for Korea. Could I be wrong?
I don't know. I'm not a poli-sci person, but I wonder if it's more like just survival, because we're such a tiny country. We have to get along with everyone.
Okay.
And part of that is why K-pop became so global. Like we really mastered the art of making something like appeasing to everyone. Doesn't offend anyone.
Yeah, because I remember talking to someone, it was another Korean person, about they were in like Mexico City. And when the locals there found out they were Korean,
Yeah.
they were like more liked because of it.
Oh.
Yeah, because of the whole,
K-pop?
K influence. Yeah, just like the Korean influence around the world. So it's like literally putting us on the map. And I don't know, maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like because of all that positive influence on Korea, I mean, even recently, China and Korea are trying to have better relationships, but now you can fly into China without visa, basically visa free. But then on the flip side, we do allow Chinese tourists to come to Korea with less stipulations.
Yeah.
But anyways, who knows? I could be wrong.
Probably a little bit of everything.
Yeah. All right, Hannah. So let's talk about frustration with a passport. What's the most ridiculous or stressful experience you've had because of your passport?
I feel like I already sort of shared about my experience in the US. That was really, really stressful. And they just treat you like you're a criminal. And and I'm just like, why would I voluntarily be a teacher if I could be a criminal? Like, if I could get more money doing something else, why would I willingly be a teacher at one of your public schools? Like think, like, why would I be in debt getting a master's if I could be doing something else? Just, that was like my really big frustration. And with the visa stuff too, when you're, we call it like limbo, not technical term, but so when one visa ends or like one status ends and the second status starts, you're kind of in this weird limbo zone. So when I finished my OPT, it's like a optional practical training that there's a year that you get to do a job that is related to your major. And so when that was ending and I was going into grad school, I had to leave the country. Even though my, like the dates of those things worked together, I couldn't leave the country. Or sorry, this is more complicated than it has to be. Sorry.
Oh.
Should I just go back?
I mean, so between that gap, they technically made you leave the country because and then you had to come back only because of that little interim period.
Yeah, and then at a different time, so you like one of the visas, I forget which one, but it wouldn't get into effect until October of a certain year, which meant from May to October, I couldn't leave the country. I had to stay in the country. So there's just like all these very like fine print rules about when you have to leave versus when you have to be in the country. Even though like all the dates fit and you can legally be in the US, there are all these rules about you have to leave or you can't leave. Just like a lot of unnecessary stress. And it's because the US doesn't want you to immigrate, but then at the same time they do want you to immigrate if you're going to be an asset to the country. So it's very weird, very weird. Like 1 minute you kind of feel like you have this special thing, because if you have a master's, you get to do 2 lotteries for the work permit. So you go through a first lottery, and then you get a second chance, and the second one is actually you have higher chances because you're only going against PhD and master's students. So at one point you're like, I'm ahead of the game. Like, I get to go into the lottery twice. And then the next moment they're like, you can't leave the country. You have to stay in the country. And then you're just like, okay, so now I'm not VIP anymore. Now I'm like this criminal that you're watching my every move. And the lines at JFK are horrible. I don't know if you've ever
I've
noticed?
I've heard the reputation of JFK, but I've never flown into there.
Yeah, so you know how there's like a section for US passport holders versus foreigners? The foreigner line does not move for the first hour after getting off the plane. There's just so many people. And then the non-foreigner line, the like resident line, is empty for all around in. Yeah. And you don't see that in Korea. For Korea, whether you are a foreigner or not, it's so smooth. It's so quick.
Wow, I really appreciate that perspective, because I think for someone who grew up in the States and always had a US passport, some of those hiccups and pain points I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah.
For people who did immigrate from whether Korea or from any other country, it wasn't even something I was even knowing about. So I think for a lot of TCKs, this could probably resonate with them.
Yeah.
In their experiences. So, wow. Okay.
And then can I just add one more thing? Not related to passports, but related to work visas. So in the US, if you have a contract, it aligns with the time that your visa is going to be. So if I had like a 3-year visa, they were going to give me a 3-year contract, or vice versa. In India, I have a 3-year contract. So I initially applied for a 3-year work visa.
Okay.
And then the employees there were like, I would strongly recommend that you just apply for a 1-year visa, because they're not going to give you a 3-year visa, because India wants to protect its jobs. And they have never seen a case where someone applied for something longer than a year and they got it approved, despite having a contract that was long. So that was, it's not about my passport, but just like, it's interesting how each country views work visas. It's obviously easier to get a work visa in India than it is in the US, but still there are these different rules that the countries have in place to protect themselves or to protect their own people. And I was like, then like, why even have an option to apply for something longer? I was just like so confused. But my parents are like, yeah, it's the same for China. For the past 20 something years, they would have to renew their visa every single year, even though their contract was 3 years long. So that's just something I learned very recently.
Okay. Yeah, that's good stuff to know on that end, though. I think a lot of us, for those who don't get to travel that much, or maybe you're thinking about like, working overseas at a different country, those are all like tidbits of information that are good to know. Good FYIs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now you're in the hot seat. I can't even. I speak 0 languages now. You're in the hot seat now, Adam.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it necessarily stressful, but I would say the first couple of times that I would fly back into Korea after obtaining my Korean passport was a bit stressful. So I say that because as a dual citizen, when you fly out of Korea to the States, you have to present your Korean passport in Korea, and then when you fly into America, you present your American passport. But somehow the two actually talk to each other. So when America receives me, they know that I'm a dual citizen, and when Korea receives me, they know that I'm a dual citizen. But I remember the first time, maybe I alluded to this before in one of our previous podcasts, but when we flew back into Korea the first time, I had my Korean passport and they didn't have the automated like global entry version of Korea that's given to all Korean citizens, where they don't even have a person that is sitting there asking questions. So the first couple of times I went through as a Korean citizen, I was kind of stressed because I would fly in and then they would start asking me questions in Korean. And of course, because my Korean is a Korean passport, they were so confused that I didn't speak Korean. And then I was worried that they're like, wait, what's the deal? Because obviously if you're a Korean passport holder, that means you speak Korean. And obviously I'm Korean, I have a Korean name. So it didn't, like 1 + 1 didn't connect to them. They're like, wait,
Yeah.
What's the deal? Like, obviously,
Yeah.
if you are who you are, who you say you are, you've got to be able to understand what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
So it was a little stressful because I don't think they run across many Korean adoptees, because when we got our passport, unlike other people who immigrate to Korea, you have to pass a language proficiency test to be awarded the passport. But for Korean adoptees, we didn't have to do that. So I was a bit stressed because I didn't, I was like, oh no, how am I going to explain to them that I'm an adoptee and this is why? But yeah, that was like the most stressful I've had, I think. But
Yeah.
I've never actually, you know how you hear like the horror stories of going through immigration with a passport and then they put you into a different room and they start asking you questions and different things like that? That's never happened to me. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Really?
But I
You
think
didn't
it's oh, sorry.
Oh, you didn't even share that as your most stressful experience?
Oh, because it just is so expected to be racially profiled. But also when I had how do I explain? Like, I've always had baggage, like literal baggage. So growing up, I had a violin, and it's an odd shaped thing, and you can't put it as claim or checked in baggage. It's too delicate, so you have to carry it on with you. And so they would always need to do like swab tests to make sure I'm not concealing
There's
any
nothing
illegal
on the
substances.
inside and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I would always get pulled aside ever since I was in second grade, because I played the violin since I was 5. So I would always bring my violin with me when I was traveling. And so I would always be the one to get pulled out. And so I just got used to it. And then once I quit violin after college, I got a chronic condition where I have to have equipment with me. So now I get an extra drug test on my hands. So I'm always getting pulled to the side. So it's just, I've accepted it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Actually, after asking you that question, something came to mind for me on our most
What?
recent travels to Hong Kong.
Oh,
So we went to
no.
Hong Kong in January, and
Yeah.
I like to be prepared, so I carry battery banks because I get battery anxiety. So I carry these battery banks with me. And of course,
no.
those of you who know, you have to have a certain amount of milliamp battery banks to be able to get through. So I usually would like always fly with like 4 battery banks.
Oh my gosh, Adam, that's so
Yeah,
overkill.
yeah, it is. It's bad. It's bad. So I flew into Hong Kong fine, no issue. But then when we were leaving Hong Kong, when you go through the scanners to get into security and to get into the actual airport concourse, the Hong Kong, whatever TSA version of Hong Kong people, they stopped me, had to go to the side to look through my bag, and then they were looking at my battery banks, and my favorite one they started looking at. They started scrutinizing it, looking at it, and then they're like, yeah, you can't take this. And this is a nice battery bank. So I'm getting a little frustrated. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, of all the battery banks, this is the one you're flagging? This is like my favorite one. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, trying to explain to them, I flew in with this fine. And they're like, well, in Hong Kong. And then I explained to them, well, I'm flying a Korean airline back to Korea. They didn't have a problem with it. And I'm going directly to a Korean airline. Why is this an issue with you? And they're like, sorry, we're going to have to keep it. And I'm so frustrated. I asked for like the supervisor, and then the supervisor looked at it, and they were trying to probably back up their person. So, and then I'm like starting to think all these like bad thoughts, like, oh, they just want to keep it because it's nice or something. So I'm like very frustrated. I'm like trying to keep my cool. And I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I just have to let it go. But now, because of that, I only fly with 2 battery banks now.
Yeah.
And I fly with battery banks that are, let me find.
Are they huge? No, I think I used one of yours.
I fly with a
humongous.
really small one now.
Oh, okay. But I saw you have like basically like a brick sized one.
Yeah.
Is that the one that they took?
Yeah, I like within the international airline thing. I always would fly to the max, the highest milliamp possible, and that's
Shoot.
the one they confiscated.
Oh,
So now I'm like, you know
shoot.
what? I'm just gonna fly with the small, like five, like
Yeah.
really small 10,000 milliamp ones, and that way I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I was really frustrated because that was my one of
Yeah.
my favorite ones. Not really related to passport, but
But it's related to getting
yeah,
pulled aside, extra
yeah.
questioning. But I also want to acknowledge that we both hold pretty strong passports between the two of us. Even though we've complained, like we hold very strong passports. Because
That's
I
true.
I know like someone in my small group in India, he's been waiting a year to get a student visa to the US. So he got
Mm,
accepted. He did everything, all the paperwork, but the US will not grant him a student visa because there's too many Indians in America. So, like, when I hear things like that, the number of Koreans going to America is like nothing compared to the number of Indians. And so that puts them at a even further disadvantage.
oh, yeah. I remember knowing someone that went overseas to another country, and they were talking about how much money they spent to go visit this country. And I was
Mm,
confused. And then I looked at if I were a Korean passport holder, and it was free. But talking to this other person, it cost them so much money just to go to that country. And that's when I realized, even in the last year, I was like, oh, wow, having a Korean passport is a huge advantage compared to some other
yeah.
countries.
I
So
remember this conversation.
yeah, so I feel really, yeah, really fortunate that
Yeah.
that I do. And then I actually, because I own both passports, it
Mm.
does give me like a almost like a backup safety net.
Ah,
So like
nice.
if I'm like in another country, I can have two embassies fight for me. If I
That's
can
so
appeal to,
true.
yeah, I can appeal to either embassy, like
Yeah, that's very
in a
true.
situation.
And
But
even like the fact that you can hold more than one passport is also a privilege because most Koreans, I don't think you can. Most Singaporeans, you cannot. Most countries don't let you do that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes, those athletes who hold like 4 or 5 passports and they get to choose which country to represent to see, like, based on how not competitive that country is, they go and like represent that country. I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow. And it's like because their grandparents all had different passports and so they have 4 and it's just like, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is nice having a powerful passport. That's a good
It
perspective to
is.
have.
It is. And I really like I feel it more when I talk to my parents because they left Korea in 1994 to be students in the US. And they had to go through so many hoops. And so even in like one generation, the span of one generation, Korea's passport has gained so much more power because for them they had to prove that they weren't going to escape to the US and they had like family assets, like all these things in Korea to prove that they weren't like trying to escape, that they were going to come back. So and then like for them it could take months to even get an interview at the embassy. Like for me it was only like 3 months in advance just in case, but for them it was like months in advance. So yeah, that it's also a testament to how much Korea has grown as a country too in the past 30 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's true. I feel like this is just a little side note, but in Korea, if you have a child and if you happen to be pregnant and you have a child in Korea, that doesn't give them automatic citizenship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just stating that as a fact, right? But in America, for whatever reason, if you have your child in America on native land, native soil, that child automatically gets the right to be a citizen. And even though that sounds like really mushy, like, oh, that's so sweet, that's so nice, I think that has caused a lot of like suspicion on Americans. I mean, on the American government allowing people to come in, because they are always suspicious of people coming in to try to have their baby on American soil.
Yeah.
So I remember listening to some podcast during the election time and how they were talking about they're going to take away the right for whatever birthright citizenship in America. And it was like a big thing, and everyone was like very frustrated, and different sides are arguing their counterpoints. And I was thinking like, well, we live in a country that doesn't allow that. So maybe it would cause less suspicion on American side. I don't know. It's just thoughts.
But then nobody has a right to US citizenship except for native indigenous people, right?
Yeah, if you look at it from the bigger scope of historical data.
Yeah. So to take that away now,
after the fact.
But like Adam, what you're saying was a trend in Korea, like around my age group. All these moms would try to board the plane when they were like 6-7 months pregnant, and then they would have their babies in the US and just come back just so that they wouldn't have to go to the army. Like a lot of boy moms would do that.
Okay.
And so they started banning, like they wouldn't let pregnant women board the plane and stuff like that. So people have definitely abused it.
Yeah.
Definitely have abused it.
That's true. Because I remember being in California in the mid 2010s, like 2014, 2015, or 2012 to 2015. And I remember seeing a lot of pregnant Asian women. And there was a certain amount of people prognosticating, oh, they're either from Korea or China, just trying to have their baby. And I'm like, it kind of felt like, it's like, I mean, of course, you don't know. She could be a native person, and you're just assuming it. But that was an assumption for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That they're trying to get around the system.
My question is, why don't people immigrate to Canada? 'Cause aren't Canadians nicer? Don't they have better immigration policies? Why were Koreans so obsessed?
People do immigrate to Canada, though. I remember talking to people from our church that immigrated to Canada rather than America.
The US.
And then, there is that diaspora into Australia. People, it seems like it's easier for people to go to those countries than the US.
Or it was, yeah.
Yeah, and then like the 70s and 80s when people were flocking to get the American dream, I feel like that doesn't exist as much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So interesting. So fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, we had he's not a young man. I called him a young man because he's 10 years younger than me. He was turning 40. To me, he's a young man. But we had a young man come visit our church. Yeah. And his family immigrated to Brazil because there's a lot of Koreans that immigrated to Brazil.
Japanese and Koreans, yeah.
But he was talking to me about how, of course, it's dangerous in America with guns and mass killings and mass shootings and violence, etc. But it was on a whole different level when he was talking about safety in Brazil.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, that's crazy. But but Koreans, they migrate everywhere. There's Koreans everywhere.
They are everywhere, and they find a way to make kimchi everywhere they go. I admire that spirit.
Yeah.
But the trend these days now is for people to come back to Korea.
Yeah. The what is it? I don't even know if there is a term, but it's the return of the diaspora or something. Yeah.
Like the second, third gens are coming back, and their parents still stay in Australia or the US or Canada, but they like want to come to Korea either to pursue the arts or K-pop or even just like having normal regular office jobs. They're like all coming back.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
I think it's a really in the bigger scope, I think it's a really good thing because of obviously the infertility rate in Korea is actually supposedly it's improving a little bit over the last year.
Very little.
But I think for Koreans who are part of the diaspora, who are wanting to come back to their motherland and get their roots again, they're just going to help. They'll help contribute towards the economy in Korea. So please, everyone, come back to Korea.
Wow, Adam, I didn't know you were so patriotic.
Dude, I'm
Is that
super
why
patriotic.
you were? Is that why you wanted me to come back to Korea too?
You needed to stay in Korea. You didn't need to leave.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I feel like it's good for the Koreans to come back and feel like they do have a home here. And before, obviously we were a developing nation for the longest time. And we might have ballooned too fast in a way. But maybe this is kind of, I don't know, just an opportunity for people to come back and be a part of their heritage. I think it's really important. But
A couple policies need to be in place for that to realistically happen, but I agree. I hope that there are more pockets for TCKs to come back to Korea, or maybe non-Korean TCKs to experience Korea. I think that'd be really cool. But at the moment, despite the number saying that Korea is diverse, it does not feel diverse just yet. It's still on its way. And hopefully that'll change.
That's true. Because Korea is, because we have been in a homogenous nation, there are like a lot of the probably Gen X up who are very anti-immigration.
Yeah.
They want Korea to just be Koreans. And so, but we're not going to survive if we don't have immigration.
Yeah. No, very true. And we're not going to survive if Seoul is the only developed place in Korea.
Yeah. So stop leaving Busan, people. Stop leaving Busan.
Stay in Busan. Stay in Daejeon.
It is my hope that my wife and I do end up living in Busan for a little bit. She's open to it too.
Oh,
So
I didn't know
latter
this.
years, like when we're like in our 70s, we might maybe move down there for a while.
I thought Hyojin's goal was to live near a Disney World.
Yeah. I mean, that is part of the goal too. But maybe reside in like Japan for a year, just for the fun of it.
Wow. Wait, can
Go
you
to
do
Disney.
that?
Well, with the remote working and how nations are now opening their visas for longer stays if you're like a remote worker. They have that in Korea too. As an influencer, if you're like an influencer, you can stay in Korea longer. I think a lot of these nations are opening their doors more because they see the advantage of having certain people with certain...
I see.
It's not like... So I feel like that's a possibility.
That's so cool.
Over the next 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
The world is getting smaller in some sense. More divisive, but smaller at the same time.
But it really, maybe it's because I'm working at an international school, but really like two connections over, we have a mutual friend or we have a mutual connection. And it's that it, like, so I went to like a game, what is it? Not a game night, but we played games in the afternoon. So game
afternoon day.
Yeah, I hung out, and this person, their previous job was in Shanghai, and I was like, which school? And she was like, I don't think you would know that. And then she said the school name. I was like, no, I went there for APAC. I played in the orchestra in 20 whatever. And then she was like, really? Like, you did? Wow. Like, we might have passed, our paths might have crossed like back in the day. So then I was just like, that's really creepy. Like, creepy but cool at the same time. Just how this random person I met in New Delhi, we could have crossed paths in Shanghai of all places. I'm just like, wow, it's a small world. It really is a small world.
A sliding doors moment.
Yeah. And then another teacher worked with my childhood best friend in Ghana.
What?
And now they're in New Delhi.
Oh.
So it's just like everything is just kind of all very tied in together. And so that was my like, wow, the world is really small moment yesterday.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, that's cool. The world is getting smaller in some ways.
Yeah.
So, Hannah, being a Korean passport holder your whole life and yet living in different countries, do you feel like your passport represents who you are, or does it feel disconnected from your actual identity?
Wow, that's a very, very deep question. I think for the longest time, it didn't feel like it represented who I was, especially since I've only lived 5 years of my life out of my 32 years of life in Korea.
Oh, that's a good point.
So it doesn't feel like it's fully mine. But I remember I had this really, really huge breakthrough moment during one of my classes in grad school. It was about bilingualism. And I wrote a whole story about it because it was so impactful. And she was saying, is bilingualism knowing how to, does fluency mean you know everything about the language in every single context? And immediately I was like, yeah, that's what fluency means. And then everyone seemed to be nodding and being like, yeah, that's probably what fluency is. And she was like, no, because if we started talking about astrophysics, would you understand anything that's going on, even though English is one of your stronger languages? And I was like, no. And so the professor's point was, you don't have to, there is no sort of threshold for what constitutes fluency. It's more of your view of whether you want to accept that language into your identity or not. And if you are able to communicate within the context that you use that language in. And so if it's only with your mom, can you communicate with your mom in that language? If it's only for sports, can you communicate in that language for the purpose that you need it to be? And I think that really reshaped my view of my Korean heritage. Yeah, maybe I don't fully understand what it feels like to do sunung. Sunung is the entrance exams for college, and it's really, really intense. I don't understand that, but I do feel pain when I see problems in Korea. It does affect me, even though I don't live in that country. I still feel for this. I still have family members in Korea. I still have loved ones in Korea. And so it does affect me and affects who I am. And so I think in that way, I've learned to take a little more pride and a little more ownership about being Korean. And I met with a lot of resistance. And they're like, you're not Korean. And I think to those people, I do want to, that's kind of my perspective. It may not look the same as the way you carry on, but that doesn't mean you can't invalidate my experience and my pride and my connection to my passport country.
So, I mean, you definitely, when people ultimately ask where you're from, of course, we have a lot of different canned responses depending on who's asking us.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you fully realize that you're Korean, right? And that you're
Yeah, I identify as Korean, but when people ask me, I don't say I'm just from Korea, because the next question is, why is your English so good? So I always have to tell I'm a third culture kid, And
Yeah.
I grew up moving around, but I am a Korean. Like, that's how I kind of frame it. But I don't question my identity anymore. I'm like
Okay, good.
very secure in being like, I am Korean, but I have different experiences. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you, Adam?
I wanted to ask another question for you.
Oh, okay.
So, like, have you ever had conversations with people when you were in Korea for the past year, previous year? So, did you ever have conversations where you felt, I don't know, maybe belittled or not appreciated as a Korean citizen because they looked down on you in any way? Did you ever have an experience like that?
Oh, all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Could you give us an example?
Like the fact that I could even have a gap year, that I wasn't working, is a
Okay.
huge. Well, okay, if I was like straight out of college and I was doing gap years, no one would bat an eye. But after they heard that I was 32 and I was single, and they're like, "You're taking a gap year," like that was kind of. So I think it's not belittling, but it's more like, oh, you're one of those really privileged, posh, stuck up kids who have a lot of
Okay.
money. And then there's a lot of, I don't know what that feeling is, jealousy, anger, like othering, just a lot of, oh, she's not really one of us kind of push. So I felt that during like when I was trying to get into my soccer groups and my volleyball groups, and
Oh, okay.
they would ask these questions, and it would be kind of like, ee. Or like, oh, like even my job, right? I'm an English teacher, and they're like, wow, like she must come from a really rich family, because who
To
else
have like,
gets
yeah.
to, yeah, to speak English and be so fluent that you're an English teacher at an international school. So yeah, it does. It's not belittling. I can't quite like pinpoint what that word is, but
Okay, that makes sense.
it's it's disapproval, right? They don't accept me as a Korean, and then I get that from my family. And when I said I was going to move to India, they're like, of course you can't stay here, you have to go, was kind of the response I got.
Because they felt like you're not truly Korean, so
Yeah,
that's why
that
you
guy
don't want to
would,
stay.
I can't fit into Korean society. Yeah.
Oh,
And to some extent it is true. Like I would have to sort of start over if I were to fully integrate into Korean society and get a very Korean job. I would have to go to the very bottom and work my way back up, which is, it's a risk that I'm not willing to take. And that's sort of the reason why I moved to India. But for them, they're like, you didn't have a choice, you have to leave. And for me, it's like, no, I had options and I chose to choose this different option. And that doesn't mean that I can't come back, or like this is forever, like I'm going to leave Korea forever. But this is just what I've decided to do for the next 3 years. So kind of, it's more like nuanced than like a clear difference.
okay.
Yeah. Does that sound bad?
No, no. I mean, I just was curious on your perspective. I
I
mean,
see.
haven't you had some people though like react to you like, "Oh, that's so cool that you are able to speak English," and like maybe like they're almost like envious of you, and not a negative way. They're like, you're kind of considered cool because you got to experience living in the States, and you can speak English so well, because I think there's still a certain amount of people that don't look down on people who. Have you had good experiences though too?
But I
I'm just
think those
curious.
are not Korean locals.
Oh.
Those are expats or people who are TCKs. They see it as very positive. But if you are like born and raised in Korea, I think it's hard for them to get past like, you didn't suffer the things we suffered.
Oh,
You
interesting.
you're not stuck with a president who got or presidents who've gotten impeached. Like they're like, you don't really know.
Oh.
And
Okay.
it's true. I don't really know to some extent. But doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it doesn't affect me, right?
But at the end of the day, do you obviously you still identify as Korean, and that's important, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For myself, yeah.
All right. I only asked that because I remember interacting with a friend of mine from one of the gyms that I was working out at in Korea. I mentioned him to you in the past.
Yeah.
Shout out to Michael. But he
A lot of shout outs today.
yeah, he's like in his mid-30s and obviously completely Korean, born in Korea, etc. But he's like one of the more, I guess, progressive people that are in your age bracket that want to look beyond, and he's like learned English and he travels to different countries when he has opportunities for vacations and holidays and yeah, he's very like unlike maybe some of the Koreans who look down upon people of the diaspora. He's a good example of someone that is embracing people that are outside of Korea and more accepting of them. So that gave me a different perspective because obviously I can't communicate to Koreans in Korean about that. So I could see why your experience would be a bit different because he only can communicate to me in English. But yeah, I was just curious like what your experience was.
Yeah.
So I think for me, my life stage is different than yours. So it's much easier for me to assimilate to Korea and not have to worry about moving up the ladder in the Korean career and having to play politics. I don't have to do that anymore. So I can't grasp what you're going through when you're trying to do that in Korea. So it's understandable. So I'm just at a different stage of life than you were. But okay. Yeah, for myself, I totally, completely identify 100% as Korean. So
not as American.
Oh no, I mean I do have culture from American influence. But and I appreciate all that America has given me. But I consider myself, obviously I am physically 100% Korean. Although I guess we could have a smattering of other things in us, but I do consider me like 100% Korean, and so I even realized like the whole nature versus nurture. I do display a lot of the Korean stereotypes of being like I don't know, like hardworking, stubborn, like passionate, emotional, things that are part of what Koreans are. You know how Koreans are known for being passionate, being emotional, being stubborn, being hardworking.
But you don't have any of the toxic traits of a man your age.
Yeah, that's because I'm immature and I haven't grown up yet.
No, it's a good
I'm just
thing.
joking.
Like, okay, for our listeners, Adam packs Hyojin's bags when they travel. I have never met a man who does that for his wife. That's not in my age group.
Oh.
So that's huge. And then when I went over, Adam would always cut me apple slices like that. like Korean men in your age group would never do that. So in that way, I feel like it's good that you actually have some sides of America to you.
Westernized perspective. That's true.
Yeah. Like you and Hyojin are equals, right? Like you don't.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like a partnership.
Yeah, you don't go like you have to listen to me because I'm the man of this household. You like don't do that.
Yeah.
But I would say 9 out of 10 men in your age group would do that.
Oh. Okay.
Even if they're Korean American, actually.
Oh.
Okay, so maybe you're just unique. You're a unicorn, Adam.
Maybe because I am 100% westernized in my culture, but then 100% physically Korean. You know,
Oh my God, you're like Jesus.
I
Adam, you're like Jesus.
No, like I was thinking of Moses actually, because Moses
okay.
was technically adopted.
Oh, that's
right?
true.
And he grew up in a completely different culture than his people.
That's so true.
And then at the age of 40, you know, he was standing up for one of his people, got exiled, and then he ended up being one of the deliverers of God's people. Not that I'm going to be the Moses of Korea, but you know, free my people.
Never say never.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel like I'm Moses in the sense that like I am embracing my identity in my latter years of my life. I'm coming to the realization that I'm not an Egyptian or I'm not an American. I'm actually Korean. I'm actually an Israelite. So
Wow.
I kind of correlate that. So I proudly embrace it. But
you know, Adam, that's so cool because I see a lot of myself in Joseph.
Oh, okay.
Because he's a TCK, right? Him and Daniel, who moved as teens, and like they're of that culture. Like they have these jobs that are fully integrated into that culture, but they're not of that culture. So it's so cool that the Old Testament still has parallels to our like modern day things.
Oh, yeah, that totally makes sense. That makes sense that you would resonate with Joseph and Daniel.
Yeah.
Because of kind of being exiled and kind of being like put in a position that was not of your choice.
Yeah.
Kind of like what happened with you. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That makes sense. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, look at us. Look at us. Super cool.
Yeah. Well, this was a fun little exercise to talk about passports and get a little bit deeper on other things. But for the TCK people, I'm sure this really resonated. But if you're not a TCK, hopefully this still resonates with you in some fashion or form.
Oh yeah, or you've learned a different perspective.
Yeah, because even in my family, the family that adopted me, most of their descendants are from Germany. So, for example, my mom's younger sisters just made a pilgrimage back to Germany the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So they're intentionally trying to embrace their identity, even though they're like 3 generations past. You know,
only 3 generations.
Yeah,
so
I think
they're pretty recent immigrants.
Yeah, I think so because my mom's grandma came to America in like the 1912s.
Wow.
So I guess she would be considered 3rd generation.
Yeah.
And then my siblings are 4th. There's actually some some Asians on the West Coast that are 3rd, 4th generation, like the Chinese immigrants from back in the day.
Yeah.
From the 19th century.
Yeah.
So some of them are even more American than my family.
Wow.
My adopted family.
Or like some Japanese families immigrated way earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So Adam, you're like German, American, Korean. That's so cool.
Yeah, I did have a last name that was German for a minute.
Yeah.
But I have a funny story to end. Just a funny story. So
I'm ready to laugh.
I might have told you this before, so I apologize. I'm getting old. Old people repeat their stories.
I'll still laugh. Don't worry.
So when I moved to Oregon, I had changed my name when I was 18, but I had a bank account that I opened with my old name, which was my last name in German. So the debit card from the bank still had my Adam in my last German name. I went with my friend, and my name officially then was Adam On. So I went with my roommate at the time, and we went to go buy a mini refrigerator for our dorm room.
Yeah.
So I go to the store, I pull out my debit card that had my last name, my previous last name, and he was so shocked. He literally thought I had stolen someone's credit card
No.
to pay for the
Oh, no.
the little refrigerator, and I'm like had to explain to him, oh wait, this is my card.
Oh no.
It took him a while to grasp that I had two names. He was so like stumbled for a moment. He's like, oh my gosh, my Bible college roommate is like a thief.
Oh, not the person selling the fridge, but your roommate thought you stole it.
Yeah, because he saw.
Okay.
So he was so like
Okay, that's
taken
funny.
aback.
Oh,
He literally
I
thought
see. I
like
see.
who are you? Like there's no way your last name could be a German name. Like what the heck is going on?
Oh no. Did he know you were adopted or no?
I don't know if I don't know. I forgot because
okay.
this was early on when we were just shopping for a
That makes
because I had
sense.
met him, and so I think I didn't give my whole backstory. So he
I
was
see.
definitely shocked. He was so thinking for a while that I was like a thief. So funny.
Okay, that's funny. At first I was like, why is this a funny story when the store person isn't letting you buy the fridge? But then
no.
when you said it was your roommate, I was like, oh, okay, that's funny.
But one last thought is that when I do travel and I have two passports, I feel like I'm in a spy movie. And
Nice.
I'm like, which passport am I
dual
going to throw out
identities.
there? So it's fun.
That's cool.
But right now, as Korean law states, oh well, shoot, you already are a Korean citizen. Sorry, I was gonna say for U.S. at least for U.S. based people, it's probably everyone. But Koreans that have a citizenship elsewhere, when they turn 65, they can come to Korea and claim their citizenship in Korea and not have to rescind their previous. But I just totally forgot that you don't have another. But you're only Korean.
I'm only Korean.
Sorry, Hannah. But if you end up finding a country that you can claim citizenship and you have to rescind your Korean citizenship, you can always come back to Korea at 65 and reclaim it.
Okay, that's my backup plan.
But then,
hopefully, Korea will maintain its position as being the top 5 strongest passports, and I don't need another passport.
that's true.
Yeah.
And also, Korea is a small country, so when we make laws, it's easy to change them. So who knows what the laws will be? That's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah, good and bad thing.
But yeah, well, this was really fun. Everyone,
Yeah,
thanks for
it
sticking
was.
around. Yeah, I enjoyed the topic. Good information for the TCKs especially.
Yeah.
But all right, you all. Well, have a good rest of your week. God bless, and we'll see you at the next episode. Peace!